What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, taking it to Compton, man. Compton's Most Wanted, debut album. Great Debaters, y'all. Alright, Amir. So today on The Great Debaters, we are taking it back, taking a look at the great album that was the debut project from Compton's Most Wanted. It's A Compton Thang. This album came out in 1990. In the midst of a great explosion in music and rap in particular. We started getting a lot more albums from artists, really starting in 88, and by the time we get to 1990, that was even in more full effect than it was in 88 or 89. And one of the beneficiaries of that is Compton's Most Wanted, and then of course us the fans are the main beneficiaries because we got to listen to this incredible album. So Amir, for you, what were your first thoughts of hearing this album and getting to know Compton's Most Wanted?
So this is one of those albums that for whatever reason, when I was younger, and when I say younger, I mean middle school era, because as you all know, I was huge on NWA and anything like it. So when I first heard of Compton's Most Wanted, I just like to say I was a little bit immature in my thinking. I was thinking like, oh, Compton's Most Wanted, it's probably just like an offshoot of NWA, or it's not as good, it's category B to the A. I was thinking stuff like that, just very ignorant. But anyways, that's just when I first heard the name. And then I heard a couple of their songs, on YouTube and what have you. Then one time at Amoeba, I'd seen this CD, and at the time, I wasn't really huge. Like, I've spent a lot of money on music, clearly, but I hadn't really bought any item in particular worth a lot of money at this point. So when I saw at Amoeba that the CD had like a $40 price tag or $35 price tag or whatever, I was kind of like, whoa, that's a lot of money for a CD, especially a CD that came out in 1990. So, I did some research and I was like, this is actually a pretty good price. I picked it up, and what do you know, and this is going to go right into my first pick. I put the CD in my computer, and then I'm listening. This track one's One Time Gaff Them Up, which is one of my picks. But One Time Gaff Them Up on the CD I got, he says, tired of the jackin', but there was a pause in between, of the and jackin'. So they're sampling NWA, tired of the motherfucking jackin'. So then I was like, wait a second, I got the clean version. So I was all mad, but then after doing more research, the clean version actually has a different track list than the explicit version, so I was happy. And to those who may not know, the clean version has a song called We Made It on it, which the explicit version does not have, and the explicit version has some songs that the clean version does not have. So if anyone slept and hasn't heard those songs, I advise checking them out. But One Time Gaff Them Up, to get to that song, man, it's just, I really love when you hear from like certain regions, and really it's all of hip hop who had a lot of bad things or negative things to say about cops. But I just also love when you hear the same city repeating similar phrases or similar stories, because it kind of shows, the setting of that place at that time too. And I think Compton's Most Wanted, although it may not have been as in your face as NWA's Fuck the Police, I think One Time Gaff Them Up was just so good. I really ate storytelling on it too. I really like the samples, the choruses that they put the samples in. I think it was just well done, and I think, it's also awesome how, MC8 is saying, he doesn't deal drugs or whatever, he's just a rap singer, etc. So, this is one of the dope storytelling songs and kind of setting the tone for the album, and Compton too. So that was definitely actually one of my picks, for sure.
Well, that's also one of my picks. It was funny, I didn't get the clean version, but the video was clean. So I heard a little bit of the variance there. But the great thing about the song to me, in addition to what Amir said, was the production of it with all the scratching, the sampling, and how this was toward the end of that era where you had all these different sonic collages that were going on, and to me that really made the song go to a different level, because that's something that I always cherished and I always love hearing, the scratching and how they were working it around. And even though this is somewhat of a, not somewhat, even though this is a misconception and a misperception about the West Coast has a lot of great DJs. And, you know, to hear all the scratching and the cut and paste and the production work that was done on this album, this is one of the best examples, if not the best example, on It's a Compton Thang. And for me, it's definitely one of the best. And then also building on what Amir was saying with taking the police to task, you know, Fuck the Police had come out 2 years earlier, and this was another example that this was not just some isolated random thing NWA was talking about. This was an epidemic that was going on in America, and to get it also from Compton's Most Wanted showed that this was something that was in the forefront of the creative people's minds in rap, but then also that it unfortunately wasn't going away. And now in 2020, it still hasn't gone away. And it's one of those things that's terrible that a song like One Time Gaffing 'Em Up is still relevant, which makes the fact that they made it 30 years ago all the more powerful, because this was the street reporting, this was the reality rap, this was what was now being known as gangster rap that was so powerful, so impactful, so insightful, and then also was showing the rest of the United States and the rest of the world what was going on in these primarily black ghettos where police brutality was rampant, man. And it's an atrocious thing, but songs like this help shine that light on it. And I thought One Time Gaffing 'Em Up is an excellent song.
It's very true. Very true. Going on to my next song, I'm going to go with The Final Chapter. This, and you were just talking about West Coast production and the DJs, etc. This song, to me, it sounds a little more East Coast in nature. I really, anytime I hear like these samples that are on this song, like by the JBs, James Brown, I just usually just like these songs. It's just hard not to. But also on here too, it's one of those things where I just really like how MC8 is just rapping. I think MC8 just on all of his albums, whether with Compton's Most Wanted, solo, I think MC8, he never really sounds forced to do anything in terms of how he's rapping or rhyming. He seems to just always be in his own zone, whether he'll get the slow flow or sometimes he may go very slightly faster. He's never been a tongue twister by any means, but he really goes at his own pace and does what he does. And it's never anything super flashy, but it always really works. And to that, similar with Too Short for me, how Too Short's never like super flashy in terms of what he's saying, but it always works and it always keeps me entertained. And MC8 on The Final Chapter does just that. The samples are incredible. I like how he's 4 verses. He's really doing his thing, and a lot of the time too, I'm really just more so nodding my head to like how he's saying things versus what he's saying. He's one of those rappers to me who he can just grab my attention very easily, and he really doesn't have to try hard. I think on Final Chapter, MC8's really doing that extremely well. And also, before this video ends, I also want to just give a big shout out to unknown DJ Slip, because I don't know if I've heard all their stuff. I don't know their entire production discography, but definitely they deliver with Compton's Most Wanted. So big shout out there.
Absolutely. So that's not one of my picks, although it's probably 3.5 or it's tied for third or whatever. But for similar reasons, I'm going with This Is Compton. Because that song, with the scratching and just the sample, especially in the chorus, how they're, again, bringing in all these different sounds and effects, I just love it. And sonically, that song, I just have always liked the sound and the feel of it, and it makes it so great. And then also, as was the case for me growing up in Maryland, right in between Baltimore and DC, I knew what Baltimore looked, felt, smelled, and the vibe of that city, and the same with DC, but I hadn't been to LA or LA County or Compton at this point in my life. So obviously we had seen it with Eazy-E and NWA and King T, but now getting into Compton's Most Wanted, I was starting to get these different looks into this mysterious city I'd never even heard of before, rap, and now it's, you know, ground zero and one of the epicenters of all these great artists. So this is Compton, as they say, Compton, it's Compton Thang, Compton's Most Wanted, etc., etc. They clearly were all about Compton, and this is Compton. It's mainly the production. I think 8 and when Chill's on the album, Chill, they both do a great job lyrically, and I have no complaints really with any song in any way, but I do think that the production on This Is Compton just is great to me, so I love that one.
That's a good one, and going to my third pick is going to be Duck Sick. However, this is really an album where it's just very consistent all the way through, and it's another one where it's a bit hard to really narrow it down. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know to pick those three, or if I should also add I'm With That in there, or Late Night Hype, which I know is a lot of people's favorite. But there's just a lot of great songs on here, or really all of them are pretty great. But to be quite honest, but Duck Sick, that's one of the ones I've played the most. And it's also interesting because Duck Sick, we had gotten some sequels, Death Wish, we got sequels, so it's always interesting to see, like, kind of like we were talking about in previous videos with Jane, how art by EPMD, how artists will continue certain stories or tracks and keep that theme and what they do in different stages in their career. But Duck Sick to me was just a really dope song. I also really like the chorus and the female, and I really don't know, I don't think it's a sample, I think it's just someone who is singing. I have no idea, I haven't really researched that, but I really like her on the chorus too. And this is 8 and Chill also on the song, because I think my first two songs, I don't think Chill was on those songs if I recall. But this, I really like both them on it, and it's another banger.
Yeah, Chill being on there I think is great because this is the only album he's on it a majority of the time because of his unavailability. But on subsequent albums, other than Growing Up in the Hood, which of course helped propel them even further into the awareness of the world. But Duck Sick, I also like the fact that this was one of those songs on the production side that started showing some of the direction that the group was going to take sonically, with kind of a bluesy, darker, somber-y feel that we get, especially with Music to Drive By and a little bit on Straight Checking 'Em. So I always liked the fact that Compton's Most Wanted was using these samples and using them as the backbone of the beat and the driving force sonically, and Duck Sick is one of those. And the fact that Chill and 8 are on there, I just liked it because Chill, I think, is very underrated, and of course because he wasn't on really the next two Compton's Most Wanted albums before 8 quote unquote went solo, we didn't get that much of Chill. And I always think about and wonder, had he been around, if what that would have changed with the group. But that being said, Duck Sick definitely has a lot to do with this album being good, because it does have these kind of anonymous disses going on. It has 8 and Chill on it, and the beat is just so different. So those are my 3 picks. You guys got Amir's 3 picks. What about your guys' 3 picks with the debut album from Compton's Most Wanted, It's A Compton Thang? Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hit us up in the comments section and let us know what you guys think. Compton's Most Wanted, It's A Compton Thang. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir Rahimi.
The Great Debaters, y'all.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the DOC, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on your MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The history of gangster rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the street. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The history of gangster rap in stores now.